Good morning. Hello, hello. Welcome to Miracle Mornings Live. I'm coming in hot today. I have time to like sit down and kind of get myself together before I go live, but I did not. Look at I don't even my hair doesn't even whatever. Um, Hi. I have kind of a busy week. The kids are starting school next week already, which is so crazy. We live in Florida now, and they go back to school a lot earlier, or a couple weeks earlier than we used to go back to school up north. And I'm just like, not, I'm excited to get back into the schedule, but I'm not really ready for summer to be like, it doesn't feel like fall yet, especially doesn't feel, I mean, it never really feels like fall here until winter. But yeah, I'm like, this crept up on me really quickly. So I've got to finish with ordering the supplies, and we've got all the meet the teacher stuff tomorrow. And so um, I'm glad it didn't affect today's schedule though. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Heidi Hope, and I go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Sometimes it varies a little bit if I have other stuff pop up in my schedule, but that's what I'm trying to stay committed to. And we just talk about all things life and kind of like whatever my interests at the time are. And I talk about creativity and running a business and being a mom um, and a lot of the stuff that I talk about in my coaching membership group, which is really, I guess, fundamentally about starting to intentionally design your life in a way that you can, kind of heal things from the past, get yourself out of survival mode, stop feeling so burnt out all the time, stop feeling like there's not enough hours in the day, and really become a conscious creator in your life and really design a life you love. And then, like, how to actually make it happen, how to take the action steps to make that happen, because it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. Today, I'm going to go into some of the science behind that, because a lot of times I talk about this stuff and it seems very like woo woo. If you're joining live, say hello in the chat whenever you join in. I'll probably say that 5 times today because I like to see that the chat is working. And of course, anytime you can comment or ask a question. I love the audience engagement. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. You can give this video a thumbs up, and you can hit the notification bell to get notified every time I go live. So I have I don't even know where to start with today's topic, but I've been told by the women that I coach that one of my like genius zone things is taking really complex subjects and making them simple. So that's what I'm going to try to do today in the realm of quantum physics. But this fascinates me so much because a small part of what we do, but it's very important, but it's just a small part of our day, is our practice of meditation. And I started my meditation practice, and it's not like I'm not I'm not good at keeping a schedule. So sometimes it's when I'm out for a walk that I practice. Sometimes I listen to guided stuff. Sometimes I sit down and I'm actually like in silence. Sometimes I read inspirational stuff first and then I take time. It's really just closing closing your eyes, but you can do it walking too. So you don't even have to have your eyes closed. It's just taking your attention away from the outside world and turning it inward. This book I've been reading, The Energy Codes. It's a great book. Highly recommend. Put it on your list. I think my Amazon, if you go to my link tree, I'll start putting my link tree below these videos. I think my Amazon storefront has like all my favorite books. So, but this is a newer one that I got. So I don't know, it might not be on there, but it's written by a doctor and the foreword's by a doctor. And it really goes into what would be considered woo woo, but the energy, like that's what our bodies are made of. We're just energy. We appear to be matter because we're vibrating at such a low frequency. But really at the base of everything, we're just energy, waves and particles um, and light. And when you understand that through quantum physics, that I'm going to kind of get into today, you realize that you have a lot more power over your health, the healing of your body, and even how you interact with the world, and how matter can change in the world just from what we practice. So she actually goes through. I have studied the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza a lot too, and I started that type of meditation. And she goes into like the same exact thing that he does. She calls it a channel breath, but it's really moving energy up and down your spine, through your different energy centers in the body, and getting your brain and your heart into coherence. And when you're in that state, it's like your most powerful way to affect matter. So whether that is like healing something within your body, or it is healing something out in the world, that it's really powerful. So I came across this article and I thought it was a great kind of summary of the science behind why this all works. When I started my meditation practice, it was back in like, I just remember what house it was in. So I'm going to say that it was in 2008 or 2009. And I had just started my photography business. And Juliana, my oldest daughter, was like 1 years old. And I was also starting to teach and speak in the industry. I was traveling a lot. And really, I never knew any of this stuff that we're talking about now. This has been a part of my journey, learning about all of this stuff to heal myself, basically. But back then, I only knew one way of life, and that was like survival mode. That's how I work. Like, I loved in college, like just having, if I didn't have a deadline, it wouldn't get done. Like I needed pressure, and I needed the more stuff that I had to do, the better I was at completing things, because I needed that like adrenaline, the survival adrenaline. But when you live your life constantly in adrenaline, um, it's a real stressor on your body. Your body thinks it's always in survival. So you are using a lot of trauma responses like fight or flight or freeze. Um, your body just doesn't know that there's no threat out there. You think there's constantly a threat out there. And when you're living in survival, it's a very different energetic state than living in creativity and creation. And when you create from a different energetic state, when you change the biology of your body through these processes, then you can create from a much more powerful place, and things become a lot easier. And suddenly, like, time changes for you. Suddenly you go from not enough hours in the day and cramming everything in, and because you're just putting out one fire after another, to time becomes much more expansive when you're operating out of a different system. So we practice meditation every day, a little bit at a time, to start changing our inner biology, because we can rewire our system. This book, I won't go into everything now, but this book is it's really practical, because she explains the science behind why it works. And then she goes into some breathing techniques, the same thing Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches. Um, and I just can tell you, like, you have to do it and experience it for yourself, because until you do, it's going to be like, well, do you believe it or do you not believe it? But there is a lot of science behind it, and it does work, but you have to actually like test it out for yourself. And then you're like, well, once you have the experience, which may feel like a mystical experience, or you may feel like it's a miracle, or like, oh my God, I was able to do that. Like I was able to call that in. I was able to, whatever it is, it could be career thing. It feels like a little miracle. And that's why I called this Miracle Mornings. But when you start to have those experiences, like, there's no denying it. And it's motivation to keep going. But you got to sit down and practice and do it. So she's got a lot of good things in here. So I do recommend this book for that. And I'll talk about some of them too. But I wanted to read to you about the quantum flip, but I'm not going to go into that yet. Well, that'll be later. Hold on. There was another passage I wanted to read from this. Not that one. I don't know. Well, I'll find it. But basically, what this book goes into, and there are many, is quantum physics, neurobiology, and then energy healing, and why energy healing actually isn't just some woo woo thing. It is like more cutting edge. I think science is catching up. Like, it used to be that science and spirituality kind of contradicted each other. And now I think the science is catching up and actually like proving that the spiritual practices work for a reason. Like meditation, that type of stuff's been a part of people's practice for thousands of years, but the science never could prove that it worked. But now the science can prove that it does have an effect on matter. And that, to me, is so fascinating. So, and it's powerful. It should empower you. Okay, so this was the article I came across, and I think it was just a Facebook post that I copied and pasted. So the actual original author of the article, they quote a bunch of scientists in it. So that's who I'm going to have to give credit to. But the original author of the article didn't copy. If you want to Google it and find out, the article is called "The Quantum Science of Connection: How Prayer and Energy Fields Unite Us Across Vast Distances." So it starts with, what if the love you send through prayer could truly reach someone hundreds of miles away? And it's as Moshe Paul Safarazi, PhD, reveals, our energetic fields, often called auras, which is that's another term that people are like, aura is like, yeah, sure, we don't have auras. We actually do. They're measurable. We just can't all see them. Um, they respond to emotions like love, trauma, healing energies, merging with others through deep connection, even across vast distances. It's not just a spiritual concept, it's deeply rooted in quantum physics, biophysics, and the science of consciousness. Let's dive into the profound mechanisms behind this phenomenon and explore how prayer becomes a powerful tool for energetic connection. And I just think that if you can prove something with a little bit of science behind it, we're much more likely to do it, because things get busy and you feel like you don't have enough hours in the day already. You're going to set aside time to sit still. Let me tell you too, that like before I thought would never be able to meditate. That's not how my brain is, like, very ADHD, overactive. I was always in a stress response. I was very anxious. Um I remember taking yoga in college, yoga classes. And hold on, I want to pull up the chat too, because I've got my notebook up. Just see if there's any comments in the chat. If you're live, say hi. Um, in college, I started taking yoga, and I remember the corpse pose at the end, Savasana. I was really doing the yoga for fitness, not for like all of the mental benefits that I didn't know existed about it. But they make you lay down at the end for 5 minutes, or sometimes just 1 minute. But laying down in a dark room with my eyes closed, I was like, this is torture. I literally was like, why do they always end yoga classes with this? Like, it's such a waste of time. It's not burning any calories. I've got places to be. My head is like spinning, because I didn't practice or know yet that you can turn that voice off, and you can, through regular practice. So that's how I started. That's like the brain I was coming from. So I don't want you to think I've like always been a super Zen person. No, I started with short meditation practices. Like I said, it was at a time I was struggling with, like, I had a pinched nerve in my back that, like, there was no source of the pinched nerve, and I was always exhausted, and I had a 1-year-old, and I was just very overwhelmed with life and building a business, and there was no off switch. I was working as, like, every hour of the day, needed to be full of something. So, and I still couldn't get it all done. So I understand operating like that. And I did for a lot of years, but my physical symptoms kept getting worse. And I thought, I like deep down knew that they couldn't find anything wrong with me physically when I went to the doctors and had everything tested out. I think I even had like is it where you go in the tube? Is that an MRI or a CAT scan? I don't know. They did all sorts of stuff, and there was nothing. But I was in severe pain, and this reoccurring pinched nerve happened all the time for me. And it was really debilitating because the pain would go all the way down my right arm. And I tried chiropractors, and I tried all the physical things in the physical world. And I suppose I had to rule those out. And then finally, I was like, I just knew there had to be a mental root. Well, I didn't even know the rabbit hole I was going down with all of that at the time. I just started with a simple meditation practice to quiet my mind and try to reduce stress. And I would just do 5 or 10 minutes. And it was really hard to sit still that long in the beginning. If you're someone like that, let me know in the comments if you can relate. If you are someone like that, though, my recommendation is actually to start with like walking meditations, or guided meditations where they're like leading you through something, rather than just like sitting in stillness, because that can be a little harder for a busy brain. It's like our brains want to attach to something. So it's just starting with guided meditations, music, um, or some type of walking meditation, and you can put that right into the YouTube. And I've actually recorded a bunch in my membership community. You can go to HeidiHopeLearning.com and click on She's Gone Free and join that membership community. I have a ton of recorded meditations in there too. And I also have lots of videos that go way more in depth of this whole process. Because it really is like unlearning a lot of what we learned and rewiring ourselves with a new belief system and practicing that and getting in the energy of that every day, um, and then getting the results from that, which reinforce the practice. Because once you start getting results, there's like no denying it. I mean, you just have a different belief system. And when you operate out of the new belief system, let's call it upgraded, because I think it's a huge upgrade, your whole life starts changing. Everything starts changing. So, okay, so let's go back to the article. Let's go back because I can go off on a real tangent. Okay. So, in quantum physics, there's a principle of quantum entanglement, which shows that particles, which we're all made of just particles and waves, everything in our body, down to the atom, is particles and waves. So, quantum physics and quantum entanglement shows that particles, once connected, remain linked regardless of distance, instantaneously affecting each other. So we always have an impact on the field around us, on who we're interacting with, um, and that doesn't go away. So the non-locality suggests that our consciousness, which some researchers argue operates at a quantum level, can transcend physical space. So can the energy of our consciousness transcend physical space? Well, actually, if you're into any of the like CIA documents that came out and everything, because I'm fascinated by all this, they have studies and proof of things like remote viewing, telepathy, non-localized, like affecting matter non-locally, um, psychic abilities. They've been using this in science and government and technology for a very long time. I mean, I think these studies, the first study that showed cells emit light, like where our cells are emitting photons. And what is a photon? Hold on, I'll tell you a photon. So every atom of our body is emitting or radiating photons, which is a unit of light essentially, but it's a fundamental particle that represents a quantum of electromagnetic radiation, including light. So every cell in our body is emitting light. That's our aura. That's our electromagnetic field that's extending out from the body. And the brain has its own electromagnetic field that's measurable. And the heart has its own magnetic field that's measurable. And the heart's is like so much larger than the brain's. So that's important to note too, that when we can get into our heart and we radiate an intention, that extends much further. But it may even extend past the measurable capabilities that we currently have of how far the heart extends. It may be able to extend non-locally too, meaning affect something that isn't in the immediate field. Is this making sense? Maybe this isn't my genius zone. I don't know if I'm making sense or not. You can tell me. Okay, so photons have no mass and they always travel at the speed of light. So the light we're radiating from ourselves can travel at the speed of light. Okay. So humans have a bioplasmic field, a crystalline electromagnetic aura that surrounds our bodies, the aura. And that acts as a conduit for these interactions. Then they go into a lot of different biophysicists who worked on radiation in the 1920s. That's when we started to learn about all this stuff. Not that they taught any of us this stuff, because I think it's too powerful, but they started learning about all of it. And so I'm going to try to find the original article and post it under this video so you can just read it for yourself if you're interested in it. An interesting thing, though, is that human field, our aura, ties directly to the Schumann resonance of the earth. Have you guys heard of Schumann resonance before? So maybe this is too much for one. The Schumann resonance is basically the earth's natural frequency, which is 7.83 hertz. A lot of people call it the Earth's heartbeat because it does change in frequency. It'll go up and down in frequency and it's measurable. And it kind of corresponds to us as humans and our own heartbeat and our natural change of frequency. And it's the Earth's frequency. This is interesting, is the same frequency of your brain when it's in alpha brainwave. So the Earth's heartbeat frequency is the same as our brain when it's in alpha. And we can also get our heart into the same frequency. We can connect them. The alpha brainwave is associated with calmness, meditation, and prayer. So that's part of what we're doing when we're going into meditation. We're trying to get into that calm brainwave state because that takes us out of the survival, I think it's beta brainwave state. The survival brainwave state is like what we're usually in. And what is that? And it's made for survival. It's to be very aware of our surroundings. When we operate on a daily basis, normally in beta, I hope I'm getting that part right. But when we're in our normal daily brainwave pattern, it's really about like scanning our surroundings, looking for danger, making sure, a bobcat isn't going to jump out at us, so it's in a state of like perceived threat or trying to look for threat. And that's not where we want to be if we want to be powerful creators of change, healers. Okay, I got to jump in with this story. If you look at studies on telekinesis, which is the ability to like affect the mass of an object with like from afar with your mind. So it's not touching it. It's interesting. I've watched a lot of these studies. So they'll take like a little piece of paper and put it on a pin, and then they put it in a glass dome. So nothing else can affect it, like the wind or anything like that. And they have the participants try to move the paper with their mind. And the most powerful way to move the paper with your mind, and they're all hooked up to like brain things and, the cap and everything. And so they measure their brain waves. And the most powerful way to actually get the paper to move, which is possible. So it's possible to affect physical matter from afar with your brain waves. And the brainwave state is that alpha state. It's the love state. It's the relaxed state. It's not force. It's not like thinking hard enough. It's not like the greatest way to affect physical matter is love, essentially. That's what it comes down to. And so usually when we're in meditation or prayer, we're trying to access that same brainwave state. And that has the most profound effect on our bodies and apparently non-locally as well. Isn't this fascinating? Is anybody else as interested in this as me? Oh boy, my computer's gonna shut off. Hold on, I gotta plug it in. Okay. So basically, through a lot of this research and the science behind it, which you can get more into, but basically it's saying that when we pray with intention, especially in states of love, gratitude, or compassion, we amplify our electromagnetic field, aligning it with the global Schumann resonance. So alpha brainwave and the Schumann resonance are the same frequency. Research by the Heart Math Institute, which they come up with some great research, which I love reading about, has shown that the heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. That's what I was saying. I didn't know how many times it was. So the field of the heart, the way the energy of the heart expands out of your body is measurable scientifically up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's electromagnetic field. So in states of coherence, which is achieved through prayer or meditation, which is when then we try to get our brain and our heart into coherence too. This is part of this process they explain in this book, is just getting your brain and your heart into that same frequency. And when you're in that frequency, the field can extend several feet outward, potentially interacting with the Earth's field and through quantum entanglement then, because all things are basically, anything you've ever been in contact with is entangled at a quantum level. And so that means we're connected to the Earth, and then the Earth is connected to all the people of the Earth. And so everything's entangled basically. So that you can affect. If you can connect into that resonance, then you could affect things non-locally. And it's been proven that that is possible to affect mass non-locally. So prayer in this context becomes a focused act of intention, a vibrational signal sent through the quantum field. So there's this whole global consciousness project, which basically it's shown statistically significant deviations during global events of mass prayer or meditation, like post 9/11 gatherings. This suggests that the collective intention can influence the quantum field, creating a ripple effect. So, this would be like it's measurable when more people are doing it together at the same time. This is why it's powerful to get into group meditation. So, they do. In Joe Dispenza's work, they take a lot of the advanced meditators and they provide healing sessions for you can apply to have to try to get a group healing meditation done for someone non-locally. So that happens quite often. It can be somebody who can't make it to the they have all sorts of conferences and retreats and stuff, but they get their like advanced meditators together, and together they meditate and pray and send love and healing to the person who's sick. And there's some incredible stories of healing and like miraculous stuff. So, okay. So this is just the quantum physics behind it all. Furthermore, the torsion field theory proposed by Russian scientists suggests that consciousness can generate subtle energy fields that travel faster than light, enabling instantaneous connections. So, human intention can affect physical systems remotely, supporting the idea that prayer operates through a similar mechanism. When we pray, we're not just speaking words, we're emitting a coherent energy signature that resonates with the recipient's field, and it can have measurable effects. They have been demonstrated. Patients who are prayed for, even without their knowledge, often experience faster recovery rates compared to control groups. So next time you pray for a loved one far away, know that science backs the magic of your intention. Your energy field, amplified by love and coherence, taps into the quantum web of consciousness, sending healing vibrations through the Earth's resonance and beyond. We're all connected to this cosmic dance of energy. So let's use it to heal and uplift and unite. So I just love that. So I will find the original article. I will post it under this video so you can go read it from yourself or go share it for yourself. I hope that learning a little bit about like why it works makes you inspired to make a habit out of it. It should be a daily practice for you, and you will begin. You can turn it inward, that intention inward on your own body for your own healing, for your own performance, for your own desired outcomes, whatever it is. And so in Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, he has you think about any type of a goal and create a symbol for that goal. And so when you're doing this, the process of the breath to get yourself into the brain and the heart coherence, that also affects the quantum field, scientifically proven. Once you get yourself into that state through a meditation practice or a prayer practice, or there's lots of ways. I think flow state gets you pretty much into that too. And there's even heightened states, even stronger than alpha. But if you can get yourself to that into that on a regular basis, you can begin to see changes in the outside world. And once you experience that, there's no going back in your beliefs. And once you change your beliefs, you start to change your habits, your actions, and in a whole new world, your whole world changes because everything is operating out of that belief system. So if you weren't a believer, I hope maybe giving you, if you were, I call it a skeptic. If you're a skeptic, hi. Oh, yay. I have some people in the chat. Hi, Paulette. Hi, Arlene. Tell me where you're joining from. And hopefully I made that make sense. Hopefully I didn't just complicate that even further. But I think this is just, it's fascinating human potential. I just think most of us don't believe or were never taught the science behind why these mystical things actually work. We've kind of kept them in different compartments, but really they prove each other. And that intersection is so fascinating. And I think we're just getting started with it. There's a lot coming out about music. Music is just different frequencies. So different frequencies of music, how they can heal the body. And that's in the realm of healing, but it could be with anything else you want. You're getting into your creatorship, Once you know it's possible to affect matter with the mind, you start to like think anything's possible. And there is so much in the world today, so much suffering in the world today, and like there a lot of people don't know what they can do to help. And this is something you can do on a regular basis because changing your energy does have an effect. We're all entangled at a quantum level. So changing your own energy, it's one of the best things you can do to help change the world or anything else. So help loved ones. Um, so there's no uh there's no order of difficulty, and there's no good or bad, what you desire for yourself and you want to create. If you really fall in love with that future vision of yourself, you can attract anything to you. So part of life too is like figuring out what that is. Once you know anything's possible, now it's like, well, what do I want now? Then if I can create anything, what am I going to create? And then really having that solid belief. Practicing though in little ways with little stuff that starts to happen, I think it really forms a foundation of belief that then gets stronger and stronger and stronger the more you practice. And like I said, I started with 5 or 10 minutes a day of meditation, if I could sit still that long. And I kind of thought it was a waste of time. But my results have proved that it's not. And so part of why I started this show, it was to teach other people to do it. But you just have to commit to the practice. I'm saying this for all my coaching community too, because they watch these, and we're normal people and we have everyday lives, and a lot of us are moms and we have careers. It's a lot of high achieving women, because originally my program was to like help with burnout. So it was a lot of high achieving women who were like completely burnt out on life and were just like, I can't do this anymore. And then my whole program is like showing them a different way to get out of the burnout and stop living in survival mode and start living in creator mode. But it starts with just like a small daily practice. And then it expands from there because it's all quantum entangled. So it begins to affect everything in your life. So there you go. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for saying hi in the comments. If you haven't already, give this video a like. If you like what we're talking about, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any, and hit the notification bell, and then you'll get notified every time I go live. You can always watch the replays. And if you're watching the replay, comment that down below too. It really helps the channel grow. I don't know if you remember the whole story, but I left this YouTube channel for a while, and the algorithm doesn't like that. So it's going to be hard for it to spread and be seen. Although I do have some exciting podcast interviews coming up on other people's podcasts in the coming months. So maybe that will help revive the channel. Either way, I trust that putting the right energy out there every day will always attract exactly what you're meant to do and where you're meant to go. And however big it's meant to be and however many people it's meant to reach, I don't have to worry about any of that. I just have to show up in the right energy. And that really is like one of the secrets of creating whatever you want. It is literally like get yourself in the right energy. And you have to do that through practice. Okay, friends, thanks for listening to me ramble today about what I'm excited about right now. I feel like there was one other book I wanted to tell you guys about too, besides this one, but I'll link this one below as well, Energy Codes. I like it because she just gives you like a daily practice of the breath, and it works. And it's not the first time I've read this. Like I said, I'm just seeing a lot of doctors who are researching in these fields come up with similar things. It's like the same breath work. It's the same way of getting your heart and your brain into coherence. So try it. Try practicing it. She also has like yoga poses and other things too that help with that. So yay, love the energy. Thanks, Arlene. Well, I hope to catch you next Tuesday. School starts for my kids, so it'll be fine. It'll all be fine. But I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. So if you want me to talk about something, leave it below in the comments. I always see, and if you have questions, I go in and check all the comments. I answer everything. So I like working with questions. it always puts me in the right direction. Have a great day, everybody. Bye. Oh, happy like Lionsgate full moon. This is a big time for you. Use this energy. It's good energy this weekend.